Obama announcing his Supreme Court pick today. Judge Andrew Napolitano says this is not a win for the president. Find out why. Also, Judicial Watch announcing 8 Hillary Clinton aides, former and current, being questioned by the federal investigation into her personal email scandal. We'll also talk about Trump perhaps being right. The judge will weigh in on how an indictment could hurt Hillary's run in the general election.
Today I am nominating Chief Judge Merrick Brian Garland to join the Supreme Court.
President Obama is releasing his Supreme Court pick to replace the late Justice Scalia. Merrick Garland is the current chief judge on D.C.'s U.S. Court of Appeals. He is considered to be a center-right moderate. Some Senate Republicans still against the pick.
The Senate will continue to observe the Biden rule so that the American people have a voice in this momentous decision. The American people may well elect a president who decides to nominate Judge Garland for Senate consideration. The next president may also nominate somebody very different. Either way, our view is this: give the people a voice in filling this vacancy.
As you heard, Senate Majority Leader there bringing up the Biden rule.
The Senate Judiciary Committee should seriously consider not scheduling confirmation hearings on the nomination until after the political campaign season is over.
Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano with me now. Judge, it is wonderful to see you.
It's a pleasure, and I'm chuckling because he hates that rule has been named after him.
Of course
he obviously doesn't want it in this instance.
Not in this instance at all. But what do you make of this wrangling? I mean, this judge, there's liberals who are complaining he's not liberal enough in a neutral political scene. He's a great pick, right?
Well, it depends on what the president wants. It's high-stakes poker here. Senator McConnell's playing high-stakes poker that a Republican will win, because if Mrs. Clinton wins and Judge Garland is not put on the court,
she's going to pick somebody a lot more liberal.
Far to the left of Judge Garland. Judge Garland, who is a very, very well-respected, almost universally liked, serious, professional career judge. He's been on the bench for 19 years. Is clearly the most conservative nominee to the Supreme Court by a Democratic president since 1941, when FDR put his own Attorney General, Robert Jackson, on the court. Why would the president do that? He doesn't want Judge Garland to be on the court. He wants to pick a fight with the Republicans, and he hopes that fight will cause the Senate to fall in the hands of the Democrats, and he hopes that he will be succeeded by, I don't know if it's Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, because I think she's going to be indicted, but he hopes he'll be succeeded by a Democrat who'll have a Democratic Senate who can put somebody in there far more to his liking, like Justice Elena Kagan or Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
So it's like a Jedi mind trick.
Well, I don't know if that's a Jedi mind trick, but it's high-stakes political poker with the court. It will cause this good and decent man to twist in the wind, and it will cause the court to be part of the political process when it needn't be.
All right, you just said you think, and you've said it before, that Hillary Clinton will be indicted. I want to ask you about this because conservative legal advocacy group Judicial Watch is filing a motion that 8 past and present State Department officials linked to Hillary Clinton's email scandal, the whole notion of the server. These have been named, I guess, and not yet announced. But what are we going to see?
Okay, so this motion asks Judge Emmett Sullivan, a President Clinton appointee to the court, who was presiding over the Freedom of Information Act case that Judicial Watch brought against the State Department. It's the case that caused us to learn about the homebrewed server in the Clinton mansion.
Clinton closet.
Correct. He has already said, I'm authorizing you to take a deposition, an examination under oath, not in the courthouse, but in a lawyer's office, of Mrs. Clinton's closest aides. You tell me who they are, you make an application before me to name them, and I'll sign the order. And here's your charge, Judicial Watch lawyers. This is the court speaking, want to know if there was a conspiracy in the office of the Secretary of State to violate federal law, the espionage laws, exposing secrets, and the Freedom of Information Act laws, keeping secrets secret that are supposed to be exposed. And if there is, I want you to come back to me and ask for permission to depose Mrs. Clinton herself.
Okay, Judge, I need to ask you, because we're in an election year, as you know all too well. I mean, what are the chances that she's going to have to answer to this before November?
The chances that the FBI will ask the Justice Department to present evidence to a grand jury and seek an indictment are very, very, very high. Very high.
Like 8 out of 10.
Easily. 9 out of 10. No one knows what the Justice Department will do. It's the political process. But if the FBI asks the Justice Department to present its evidence, that means they've got the evidence. They've corroborated it. They've corroborated it again. It's enough to indict her. It's enough to convict her. It's enough to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It's gone through all of these procedures, FBI agents and federal prosecutors. If the political arm of the Justice Department says no, expect a sample indictment to be leaked, expect the evidence to be leaked, expect FBI whistleblowers to be blowing whistles all over the place, and expect some resignations amongst senior FBI people.
Right. And you say this can all happen, is likely to happen before November.
If the scenario I just described happens, in my view, it will be just as devastating to Mrs. Clinton as if she's indicted. Why would the Democrats want the head of their ticket to be somebody that the FBI thinks is a criminal?
Judge Andrew Napolitano, wonderful to have you here.
See, we got it all in about 3 minutes.
We got it all in. Around the world in a minute with the judge. It's
All the
a new
best,
segment
Gabriel.
coming up on Risk and Reward. We have a